Does it take more luck or skills to win in trading and investing? Hi, this is CY. So in this video, I'm going to share with you why trading with skill can have a consistent performance over the long run, and why is it important to have a strategy when it comes to trading and investing. Click on the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any educational trading videos we are producing for you in this channel to help you to improve your game as a trader. So let's get started. Of course, one of the most commonly asked questions in trading is that whether you are trading investing based on luck, or whether you are trading investing based on skilled. Now, most people would attribute their success in trading by skills, and they would attribute their failure in trading by luck. So in short, whenever they make profit, they would say that their trading is actually really by skills. And if they were to make losses in trading consistently, they would blame it towards of having just purely bad luck. Let's say after a series of consecutive losses, would you change your trading and investing approach? Now, if your trading is actually based on luck, then you would tend to blame having a bad luck in the market, where you would blame your losses, which it is actually on the market's fault, the uncertainties in the market, political changes, economic policy issues, and you would not want to use the same method over again and again, because now it seems like your current trading method does not work after you face a series of consecutive losses. However, if your trading is actually really based on skills, then you would tentatively still would be choosing to trade and invest with the same method without changing your trading approach at all. Now, before we look at the research studies, now let's define what is luck and what is skills. Now, luck is actually when success or failure apparently brought to you by chance rather than brought to you by your actions. Now, when it comes to luck, we really needs to look at timing. Sometimes we have good luck, sometimes it's just a purely bad luck. However, when it comes to skills, it is defined as the ability to do something well. It is the expertise that we have already been acquired throughout time. So skills is something that nobody can take away from you, and you can have it, and it is already inside you. You can improve your skills through a polishing, a refining, as well as a continuous education. So this is why you are able to sharpen your skills to become better and better day by day. Now let's have a brief look at what is the differences between luck and skills. Now the first one, when it comes to luck, it is actually having profit or being lucky in the market that actually happens by chance. Well, luck is actually a sometime thing. So sometimes it might be happen to you one time, it might be happen to you two times or even three times. Of course, when you have luck, you make a profit from the market. However, when you run out of luck, this is where you will be facing losses over again and again. Now, how about skills? So skills is something that you can create it. Skills is something you can acquire, something that you can learn over again and again. If we were to depend our trading results based on luck, then we would be having inconsistent outcome over the long run. However, if we were to use skills to generate result from our trading as well as our investment, so this is where we will be able to get a consistent outcome in the market over the long run. And of course, when it comes to luck, we are unable to transfer the luck over to others, right? However, if it is actually on pure skills, this is where we are able to transfer the knowledge, we are able to transfer the skills so that others are able to learn and acquire the skills to produce the same result in trading as well. Now, before I share with you why is it necessary to have a strategy in our trading and investing, first we need to understand what is this board game and how does it relate to our trading as well as investing. Now, of course, I believe most of us would have played this simple board game in our childhood, right? And this board game is actually called Ludo. So this is actually a simple strategy board game where we need at least minimum 2 to 4 players to play the game. So the question is, whether do you play this game by luck or whether do you play this game by skills? As if you were to look out what is the necessary skills to play this board game well, is that you need some strategy, you need some tactics, and you need to learn how to count, as well as it takes some probability concept for you to outperform as well as beat others in this game over the long run. There are two critical factors for you to know to win the game of Ludo over the long run. So the first factor is actually on dice control. How are you going to controlling your dice? And number two is whether you have a good strategy to play the game of Ludo so that you can win others easily. Now, the first one on dice control. When it comes to throwing dice, most people would just toss their dice randomly. Imagine this. If each and every time when you are able to toss a dice and you can get a certain specific numbers out from it, would that improve your game in Ludo as well? So this is where you need to cultivate the skills to toss the dice in a potentially advantageous way. So now let's go and see what are the things that you need to learn about dice. So when it comes to dice, if we were to roll or toss the dice randomly, of course in the dice we have 6 points only, right? So 1 out of 6 times we can get a random number 16% of the time. Now let's study the 6 faces from a dice. So this is where we will be able to see there are 4 numbers on the horizontal side as well as 4 numbers on the vertical side. So this is where if we were to toss a dice in a specific way, let's say you can toss a dice either in a vertical way or you can even toss a dice in a horizontal way. So let's say you were to exercise the dice control in your rolling. So you can either roll your dice vertically or you can roll your dice horizontally. You can get a specific 4 numbers out of 6. So this is where you will increase your probability of getting a specific number to 25%. So here we can see that there is an 8.3% increase get a specific number. Now, how about if we were to improve how we are going to roll these dice? So let's say if you were to roll your dice with a specific height, with a specific strength, as well as intensity to roll the dice. So this is where you will be having a better control of your dice. So you will be able to roll specifically 3 numbers or 2 numbers, whether is it horizontally or vertically. So you can see there will be increase in your probability in rolling a specific number. Number 2, on strategy. You will be able to win in the game of Ludo consistently if you were to have a strategy. Now let me share with you there are several strategies in playing Ludo. So the first one is where you have no strategy at all. So this is where you will have a random movement in all of the pieces and you don't have any planning on how to move whichever specific piece with any intention. The next one is when you are able to have a good basic strategy. There are 3 simple forms of basic strategy. The first basic strategy is on the defensive strategy. So defensive strategy is when your piece is actually away from your opponent by at least 7 steps. Now you must be wondering why 7 steps ahead. Now this is because when you are 7 steps ahead of your opponent will need to roll a 6 and any specific number in order to kick your piece out from the board. So this is where the probability to roll 2 numbers to kick you out would be very, very low. So this is actually on the defensive strategy. The second strategy is the aggressive strategy. Now, the aggressive strategy is when you attempt to kick your opponent out from the board. So this is where you will be risking your piece to run in front of your opponent and being kicked. Instead of kicking your opponent, you will be kicked by your opponent as well. The fast strategy is where whichever piece that is nearer towards your home, you will move that piece first so that that particular piece goes back to home as quickly as possible. The third category of strategy is the mixed strategy. This is where you would have the combination of two or more basic strategies to play the game. So now let's look at what is the research result done by several researchers on the game of Ludo and how it can relate to your trading as well as your investing. Now, the first study that they have done is where all of these players have no strategy at all, where each of them were to move their pieces randomly. So they find out that each of them actually has equally 25% of winning rate for each player. So what can we learn about this is that, when you were to play with a random strategy, or if you don't have any strategy at all, your winning and losing is actually quite random, and nobody in this game has any specific advantage in winning the game at all, because each and every one of them equally has 25% chance of winning the game. So all of them are actually quite in par. The second study that they have done is that they want to test out and see what if there is one basic strategy player where this player can use any form of this basic strategy, either defensive strategy, aggressive strategy, or even fast strategy, to compete against three other players that has no strategy or random strategy at all. And what they find out is that the person who have at least a basic strategy is that this person would have a 98% of winning rate, and those who play without any strategy, they only have 2% of winning rate. So here we can conclude that as long as you play the game with any basic strategy, it's better than playing randomly without any strategy at all. And the third study that they have done is where they were to test out each and every of these strategy versus the player that has a random strategy. So this is where there would be one player that is using defensive strategy, one player is using aggressive strategy, one player is using the fast strategy, and another last player is having a random or no strategy at all. So to their surprise is that they found out that uh, the person who is using the defensive strategy is actually having a very high winning rate compared to some other form of strategy to play the game of Ludo. So here what we conclude here is that there are some strategy actually outperforms they perform better than any other strategy. On top of that, they have also find out that those with strategy actually uses lesser movement to win the game as compared to the person who has a random strategy at all. So here they find out that the person who has no strategy at all, they actually takes more movement and effort in order to win the game. And lastly, they want to study what is the effect of having a mixed strategy compared with three other basic strategies. So here they find out that the person who is actually using a mixed strategy, they have a very high average probability of winning, which is 91% compared to three other basic strategies. And of course, this is a little bit not quite relevant in trading and investing. Of course, in the real world of trading and investing, there are more than just these three basic strategies. There are tons of strategies to trade as well as to invest in the market, and it would end up with a lot of combinations as well as mixed strategies that has different kinds of performance. So what do we learn about the research studies from this Ludo? So number one, we find out that if you were to play the game without having any strategy, you do not have any edge in winning at all. And all you will be getting is that you will have a very random results here and there over the long run. Number two is that if you were to play the game by using any of those basic strategy, is actually way better than playing randomly, right? And thirdly, you need to understand that some strategies actually outperform other strategies. And lastly, we do find out that the mixed strategy actually performs better than any of the individual standalone strategy. So this is where a combination of strategies to play the game actually gives you a better advantage over the long run. Now, let's go back to trading and investing, and let's see how to actually luck plays a big role in your profit and loss. So the same thing when it comes to trading and investing, we have the person who has not using any strategy at all, where your methods of trading and investing in the market is actually quite pretty random. You do not have a fixed strategy in order to trade the market. And next thing is that you have some form of a basic strategy. So it depends on which tools or which basic strategy that you use. It can be trend line, support and resistance line, simple moving average, Fibonacci, trading method, or any other strategies in order to trade the market. And lastly is that you would want to combine each or any of these basic strategies to formulate your unique trading approach in order to profit from the market. And now we want to look at how does each of these category of strategies perform in the market over the long run, and how does the study of Ludo actually helps us to improve our trades as well as how we invest in the market. So let's look at the first strategy, which is when you have no strategy to trade or invest in the market. So back to the research study that we have found out that if we were to trade the market without any strategy, we would ended up with having no single advantage or having no edge in trading the market at all. So our long run expectation in the market is that, because we don't have any strategy to trade the market at all, over the long run, of course, we will be definitely losing the market, because if we do not have any strategy, the emotional factors would kick in, and then it would disrupt how we are going to trade the market. And with no strategy, you would definitely have very low chances of winning and very, very high chances in losing at the market over the long run. So in short, it actually takes more effort for you to achieve your goal in trading and investing, especially if you have no strategy to do that at all. Now, how about if you have some form of basic strategy? Now, of course, a basic strategy, what we have learned earlier from the study of Ludo is that having any of the basic strategy, of course, it would be better than not having any strategy at all. And of course, when it comes to the basic strategy in trading and investing, there are only three strategy and three decisions for us to make. So the first strategy that we need is that the strategy of how to enter the market, at which point we are going to enter the market, how we are going to execute or place our trade in the market. And the next strategy is on the exit strategy. After we have placed our trade, after we have already entered the market, how are we going to exit the market? How we are going to exit our trade when we have profit, and how we are going to protect and exit our trade when we were to face losses in the market. And the third basic strategy is the hold strategy, how we are going to hold our trade a little bit longer so that we are able to maximize our potential profit, so that we don't take our profit too early or too soon that limits our potential profit. How we are going to follow the trend and ride the trend so that we'll be able to capture a bigger profit before we exit the market. So this is on the whole strategy. However, there are several conditions that we need to fulfill before we are able to harness the potential of executing the basic strategy. So the first condition on basic strategy is that we need to have a clearly and well-defined basic strategy for us to trade and invest in the market. So for example, we need to have a very, very clear entry strategy of how we are going to enter, how much to buy, as well as when it comes to an exit strategy, how are we going to exit the market and cut our losses? So all of this basic strategy, it has to be clear and unambiguous. And the next condition of executing a good basic strategy is that having the deep understanding on our individual basic strategy is important, because when we understand our basic strategy well, or when does it perform best and when does it perform poorly, so this is where it gives us the necessary confidence to go through good times as well as the bad times. And lastly, on the mixed strategy, of course, each and every one of us would prefer to use mixed strategy, because we understand that if we were to able to combine strategy, ultimately it actually performs way better than any individual standalone strategy. However, there are several conditions for us to follow so that we are able to harness the maximum potential of executing a mixed strategy. The first condition when using mixed strategy is that the basic strategy criteria must be satisfied first. Now, what do we mean by that? It means that we need to develop clear, a well-defined basic strategy, and we need to understand deeply on our basic strategy first before we are able to combine, to mix and match the strategy that actually suits us. And secondly, when we mix strategy or when we combine strategy, we must not violate the basic strategy rule. So this is where when we were to follow our basic strategy perfectly, so this is where we are ready to combine some or many of our basic strategies to have a combination or have a mixed strategy that actually performs way better than our individual standalone strategy. Now, what do we learn from that is that, in trading and investing, if we do not have any strategy, we do not have any edge at all. And it actually gives us a random result, and ultimately we waste a lot of effort because we don't have a good strategy to trade the market. And if we were to have any basic strategy, whether is it in trading or even in investing, it is actually way better than not having strategy at all. And of course, most of us would prefer a mixed strategy, because mixed strategy performs way better than any individual strategy that stands alone by itself. However, there are several criteria that need to be fulfilled before we are able to harness the potential effects of having a combination of strategies in order to profit from the market. So remember, before you would want to use a mixed strategy, first you must be able to have a very good basic strategy, understand your basic strategy very well, and execute your basic strategy without any flaw. So this is where you are ready to take your trading to the next level by mixing and combining strategy in order to have a better performance than your individual strategy. If you find this video informative and useful to you, please share this video, give us a thumbs up, and don't forget to click on the subscribe button and the notification bell. Until next time, this is CY Saw wishing you good luck and good trading.